All right, Shalom. I want to get into this. This is going to be like a lesson within a rant. I want to make a few statements here. All right, this will be a more accurate depiction as, the world knows Paul. He wasn't a so-called white man. He got mistaken for an Egyptian, right? It's a lot of things to be learned in this truth, right? And what I'm seeing with a lot of our people, you got different levels of it, right? But they very ignorant and unlearned, even in the truth. They don't really know shit. And I'm just going to tell you how it is straight up. A lot of Jakes, I noticed this, like the brother was doing a lesson, the brother from Kansas City, GMS Kansas City. He did a heavy lesson, right, going into just the mentality, the mindset of our people in this truth, right? They think this, a lot of Jakes watch these videos because, when it's dealing with the so-called black woman or just women in general, right? When it's dealing with a celebrity, right? When it's dealing with something of controversy, you get a lot of hits. I've been seeing that. Um, and what that's telling me, a lot of Jakes and the elders has been saying this for a while, right? You want a lot of Jakes that's in the truth or call themselves in the truth. They really want to be entertained. When you have a video going into the Hebrew or going into geopolitics or going into historical stuff, them videos don't get hits, and that's why it explains why Jake don't know shit, even in the truth. Now you do got some brothers and sisters that are very studious. I'm not talking to you, but this applies to it. Apply to, right? Because we not just learning precepts and throwing some fucking fringes on and cussing out the so-called white man. That's not what the truth is all about, right? You have a vast amount of knowledge that you're intaking. You're learning about the world around you. You learn about plant life, right? Trees, right? Animals, the characteristics of animals, right? The characteristics of people, right? The characteristics of a lot of different stuff. You learning how people operate. You learning the people folly. What's considered to be wise, right? You're pretty much making a lifestyle change. That's what you're doing, right? And there's a lot of multitude of other things that come along with the truth. I can't name everything, right? You're learning about archaeology, um, anthropology, right? You're learning about um, the study of words, right? The etymology of words, which that means the truth of words, right? So you're learning how to understand, interpret scriptures and the commentaries, right? Biblical commentaries know how to discern when they going off and when they actually get on point, right? You're learning the culture. See, this ain't no game, right? A lot of you people think we just woke up one day, we're using the Bible to vent against the so-called white man, and we just a bunch of so-called angry black, Hispanic, and Native American men that's using the Bible to vent against the so-called white man. And they go to show you how fucking stupid our people is, right? You got the elders been laboring in this work over 30 something years. These the same men that you're reading back in the Bible back reincarnated. You don't even know that, right? And there was a time that we all was lost, right? And the spirit woke us up. And that's something that can't be explained within flesh, right? So we're seeing miracles happen right before our own eyes, right, so to speak. There's a lot of nuances in the scriptures. Let me deal with Yahweh Shah the way he taught sometimes. He would use parables, right, to teach his disciples, and so on and so forth. Why would he use parables, right? And these parables would be very complex to understand, right? Because that's how a lot of Jakes get tripped up. A lot of Jakes that's unlearned. And Jake, you're gonna get exposed, right? If you're not doing studying, it's gonna show. It's gonna you're not gonna have the understanding you should have, right? This is a daily work. Like you eat every day, you need to be intaking this word, learning something about the word, learning something about what's going on in the world, understanding world trade, understand how the dollar works, understand how world trade works. It's vast, man, right? Understand geopolitics, understand world history, the correct world history. It's always literally something to learn, right? And when you're not putting that time into learning, you're gonna be ignorant. And some Jakes, they understand that, They understand that they constantly learning, right? They not on these coming boys running their fucking mouth, and especially the women. As a woman, you don't need to be running your mouth on anything, right? Because a woman, even that's been in this truth for a long time, has very low understanding, right? You have some sisters that are very studious and they push themselves, right, to know these things. And you got men as well, right? You got some brothers that go hard body. They want to know it all, right? And they put that passion inside of this, right? Because there's many things to know. Even going into just knowing the historical records, they just say go back to King David, right? Malak Dawadah. That's how you say his name in the Hebrew tongue. That means King Malak David, right? Dawadah. David was not his name, right? That's a translation into English. But it's all these things that you will have to know to understand the truth, right? So just understanding the life, the historical records of King David is vast, right? So it's a lot of intricate parts. Our culture don't mesh in with the so-called white man culture, which would be the American culture. That's why a lot of you Jakes can't really comprehend the Bible because you have a Western mentality dealing with a um, Eastern way of living, so to speak. So our culture of the Bible is totally different from the culture of of America. So you can understand all the Western culture in general, right? It's two different cultures. And what I see a lot of you Jakes do, you carry that Western mentality that you've been taught in America, just in this Western culture in general, and you try to filter that through the Bible. That's not going to work. That's why you get tripped up so much, right? The Bible don't mesh in with the so-called white man culture. It's totally opposite, right? And it caused a lot of you people to stumble up because you don't understand that. Because again, you trying to filter everything what you've been taught in America. You've been taught pretty much nothing but lies, but you're trying to take those lies and filter those through the Bible. And that caused a lot of you people to stumble up and not have the correct understanding. And you get emotional and you end up bugging out, especially the women, because they want the Bible to agree with the so-called white man, what they've been taught in America agenda, and it just don't, right? So that causes a lot of riffraff in you people, so you can't get the understanding. And a lot of you men are really, you've been so effeminized, you have a feminist mindset, right? When you exalt the woman over the man, a lot of you men think that way because your head's so fucked up because the programming that you've been taught in America. Did not the scripture say Yahweh, Yahweh shot the man and then the woman? But you want to exalt the woman, right? Because a lot of you are feminists and a lot of you men have been feminized in the mind, right? And the Bible is a patriarch book about men. Let's go here. So you got to come off this low level. It's many things to be learned. But let's go back into 2 Peter 3 and 16. Matter of fact, I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna go to my Bible real quick since I got it handy. And I'm gonna read that scripture for you. There's many things to be learned. So give me 1 second. Trying to put this on the other side real quick. Let me go to 2 Peter. And this one of my favorite scriptures. All of them my favorite scriptures, but you just got certain ones that kind of stick out to you. It says 2 Peter 3 and 16. Let me Salakia, I'm at 1 Peter. All right, 2 Peter 3 and 16. As also in all his epistles, speaking in them of these things in which are some things hard to be understood. Some things in these scriptures could really trip you up. Which they that are unlearned and unstable, most of you Jakes and the women, very unstable mentally, as they do also other scriptures unto their own destructions, because they don't properly understand the scriptures, because they don't properly understand the whole context of things, right? You have to know a lot of different things once you get more advanced, right? So you won't get tripped up. So let's go here. Low level. And this just this just the American culture. They breed a bunch of dummies, and this a bunch of brainwashed people. They don't really know nothing. And what they do know, right? Say they an engineer or something, That's just saying you good at doing engineering. That don't mean you well rounded, right? And then whatever perspective engineering field you in, whatever you're doing in that particular field as an engineer, that don't mean you well rounded, right? The Most High want well rounded, wise, learned men through the Spirit, right? It says low level, and this is just a cesspool that's called America. Most of these people on a very low level, cardinal level, man, right? And you have to elevate your mind. But getting back into my point, right? Paul was a very learned man. Paul, if you do the history, he was a Pharisee at first. He was persecuting the church, so to speak, the Israelites, because they was teaching Yahushua. Let's go here. And Paul was be considered bilingual because we know, and Paul was dealing with the Latin as well, right? He spoke Hebrew and he spoke Greek, and that's a cut to you to those biblical scholars saying Aramaic. No, at that time we were speaking Hebrew, ancient Hebrew, not modern Hebrew. Acts 22:1. It says, men, brethren, and fathers, hear ye my defense, which I make now unto you. So you have to do your homework to know what's going on in this context. 2, and when they heard, they spake in the Hebrew tongue. You hear this? And when they heard that he spake, Salakia, he spake Paul in the Hebrew tongue. All right. So we know Paul spoke Hebrew, and there's a cut to the scholars that say that speaking Aramaic. No, they were speaking ancient Hebrew. Acts 21:37. It says, and as Paul was to be led in the council, he said unto the chief captain, may I speak unto thee? Who said, can thou speak Greek? So he was kind of shocked because Paul looked like a so-called Egyptian, right? Like this, right? And he had dark skin, brown to dark skin. And why did he say that he thought he was an Egyptian? Because the Egyptians was dark skinned people, brown to dark skinned people. And he was shocked at Paul because he could speak Greek. Because he was looking at Paul's appearance. He was like, wow, right? Let me go here to prove this. Let me show you something. It says Eliot's commentary. All right. At the very top, it says, canst thou speak Greek? It says the chill arc apparently expected his prisoner to have spoken Hebrew. All right. They going off with this Aramaic and was surprised to hear Greek. It says the people expected Greek. It says the people expected Greek and were surprised at Hebrew. What the? They kind of going off or whatever. I don't know what they mean with this, but the point was made. Basically, he was shocked because Paul's looking at Paul. He was like, thought he spoke this only Hebrew. Let me say it like that, and was surprised to hear Greek. All right. And some of these Edomite scholars make this shit way complicated than they got to be. They have all these words and all this confusion in there because they don't really know all the way, right? But anyway, the people, where we come from, our heritage, they was very learned men. You can't be a damn fool in the truth, right? You have to know what you're talking about, right? Because let me say this: some of these Edomite scholars would make you jakes. Some of you jakes that's not serious, they make you look like a fool, man. They'll trip you up in so many ways in the scriptures, right? Right? You're supposed to know more than anybody because this your book, this your culture, this is your history, this is your lineage, this is everything. You're supposed to know more than anybody about your own culture, right? Call Hala Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Rachat Kwadash. Shalom.